You got into the safety business because you wanted to protect people, but somewhere along the way, the job started controlling your time, your schedule, your priorities, even your income potential. What if the expertise you've built over the years in the field can give you something more? More freedom, more control, more ownership of your future. I'm Sheldon Primus, the author of 7 Steps to Starting a Profitable Safety Consulting Business and the host of the Safety Consultant Podcast, with more than 350 episodes helping safety professionals become consultants and grow their career. Consulting changed my life. In fact, I'm a full-time RVer, and one consulting contract paid for my home I live in today. Now, I help safety professionals build their own consulting practice through bi-weekly coaching calls, accountability, and personal guidance. But this program isn't for everyone. Start with the Consultant Readiness Audit at sheldon.coach.
What if everything we thought we knew about safety was just interference? From the host of the Rated R Safety Show and the founder of Safety FM comes the complete Signal Transmission Trilogy, now available in one powerful edition. Safety, in my opinion, the book that started the conversation. Safety Mutation, where the boundaries of culture, systems, and belief begin to break. And now, Safety Transmission, the final piece of the signal. For the first time, all 3 books are together in one volume. The Signal Transmission Trilogy, Complete Edition. This isn't just about compliance. It's about consciousness. It's about decoding the way we think, lead, and live, inside and outside the system. Whether you've been following the signal since the beginning or you're just now tuning in, this is the version to own. Search Signal Trilogy on Amazon or visit safetyfm.com to get your copy now.
This show is brought to you by Safety FM.
Wars for February 15th, 2023. I almost said 2022. I'm going to get caught one of these days. We have a lot going on here. Some big announcements coming up in the next few days. As everybody here should know, we're going to be at the International Conference on Climate Change with Jay Allen on Friday, February 24th in Orlando. We also have some other stuff going on we're working on today. Out of the blue, I got a call from somebody who I'm very excited. It'll be the culmination of a 26-year goal. 26 and a half years. So, again, good things come, I guess. Do you think people wait? But I don't want to jinx it. So, what's going on today here in the world? We're going to recap last night. So last night, a little bit controversial. We were talking about the, what are we calling it? The train derailment in Ohio. And we had covered a lot of material there in a very short amount of time. We're going to be going a little bit more in depth with some of this stuff. In the next, in the latter half of the program after we get through some news. So, I know it's very controversial, I get it. I had a thing on Instagram and also on Facebook and Twitter today. And it's a little bit controversial, those 4 questions, but those 4 questions always have to be asked during a disaster or even in your workplace. I had spoken to my Uncle Dave today, who has a couple of years on me in the environmental industry. He started late 1970s. Him and my Uncle Kenny were basically pioneers in the environmental cleanup field through my Uncle Kenny's business, Ken's Marine Service. And they're based out of Bayonne, New Jersey, but they've been on most of the really big jobs out there doing cleanups, the Gulf oil spill. They were also responded to the Miracle on the Hudson, where the plane crashed onto the Hudson River. And I've been doing their environmental training since about 1995, roughly. I've been working with them, and I really started working with them in 1986 as during summer and winter break, doing labor type of work for their business, right? Doing environmental cleanups. So that's how long I've been involved in all of this stuff. But anyway, I digress. So those 4 questions. Number 1, is the air safe? And it doesn't have to be air. It can be water, soil, what have you. Number 1. Number 2, what are you basing that on? Right? Number 3 is what chemicals are there? Right? What chemicals are there? And number 4, did you actually sample for what's there? Those are the 4 things. Now, that 4th question is, almost every time that gets the safety person, the public health person, the emergency response people, things of that nature, that last question gets them because usually, I'm going to tell you, more times than not, they don't sample. More times than not. There's no types of calculations, sampling, anything like that to make those determinations. So what are some of the things I've heard over the years? Again, these are from safety professionals. Mercury is not a hazard because you can't smell it. And this is from a safety person. And you learn, and hey, mercury, dude, it's always a man that does this. Very rarely a woman. And it's, hey, you do realize mercury vapor is odorless? Oh. Hydrogen sulfide can't hurt you because it only smells at the beginning and not at the end. Oh, well, you do know that hydrogen sulfide is an olfactory inhibitor and it numbs out the nose, that sort of thing. Well, who told you that? Really? Asbestos is a mineral. It's natural. Can't hurt you. You hear this. Okay, well, what about air sampling? Let's talk about air sampling. So with air sampling, let's say you're doing in the workplace personal sampling, all right? Where this is where you're going to actually wear an air sampling device, whether it's a pump and a filter medium. So we're familiar with 37 millimeter mixed cellulose ester cassettes, coconut charcoal tubes, XAD tubes, fluorosil tubes, PVC filters, open face cassettes. We're all familiar with that. We're all supposed to be safety professionals here. And you're doing it for one job activity, right? You're doing it for one job activity. So let's say that you're doing crystalline silica sampling and you're doing it for jackhammering, right? And now you're going to take that and you're going to be doing a demo saw. You're going to be using a demo saw. Walk behind. Guess what? The sampling from that jackhammering does not apply to the walk behind saw. Right? So because it's a different activity. So what do companies do? Because restful crystalline silica sampling could get a little bit pricey. And because they got you by the gonads, basically, when you're sampling this stuff. So with the amount of sampling and everything else you have to do, the industrial hygiene related stuff. So what do people do, right? So they say, well, it's good for jackhammering, and that gives a lot more stuff than the walk behind saw. So therefore, if one's good, the other one's good. It's not the way it works. You see it with lead removal, lead-based paint removal, where someone is going out there and they're abrasive blasting. We're not allowed to say sandblasting anymore unless it really is sand. They're out there doing abrasive blasting. Now they're doing something different, right? Oh, well, one is good. No, we're going to be using a paint remover. Well, guess what? That's a different exposure. One doesn't apply to the other. Same thing goes with the public health type things. So we're sampling for this stuff. What kind of sampling are they doing? Are they doing OSHA sampling, OSHA-related sampling, or are they doing EPA methodologies? They're not equal, right? They're not equal, right? So this is where it comes down to with the type of sampling. We're going to talk about that in a minute. We also went into types of toxicological terms and the kinds of things that chemical effects that chemicals could have on you. So we have, I left one out. I always leave one out, right? Because it's one that I always forget about. I'll be honest with you. Again, I do this usually without notes. So you have an additive effect, right? And that is when you put two chemicals together and they give you the effects, right? Like an addition, an additive, like an addition. So the action occurs when the combined effort of two or more chemicals is equal to the sum of the effect of each of the agents given alone, right? And they don't react in a direct way. So think of it as 2 + 2 = 4, right? When we're going to equate it to math, right? Then you have what is called potentiation. And this effect happens when one substance does not normally have a toxic effect and it's added to another chemical, making the second chemical much more toxic. So 0 + 2, right, is might be greater than 2, right? So you're going to have one chemical, harmless, you mix it with another one, now you're going to have something worse. Then you can have an antagonistic effect, and that is you add two chemicals together and they're not as bad, right? And then you have a synergistic effect where you add two or more chemicals together and it makes it worse. So what are some of the common things that I see? There is and this was all in a study of a hazardous waste site in New Jersey. And we talked about why New Jersey has all these identified hazardous waste sites last week. But anyway, there was called the Horseshoe Road Superfund site. If you've gone, quote unquote, to the Jersey Shore and you went through Middlesex County, you had gone over what is called the Driscoll Bridge, which I was on the build crew when they rebuilt it a number of years ago. So you go over the Driscoll Bridge and you look to the west in New Brunswick, all right? Towards New Brunswick, and you're going to see National Lead right there. And they had just recently finished that cleanup over there. And they used to have a nice big green retention basin there and everything else for years. And right next to there was a place called Horseshoe Road, Superfund site, where they used to recycle and recover heavy metals and precious metals. How did they do this? They used to reportedly, right, take circuit boards, put them in vats of acids and solvents, and so the metals would settle out, and and all these solvents would dissolve the circuit boards, and you recover everything else, and recover all the metals, and you dump everything out. Well, everything there was a liver toxin. What they found out was that a lot of the people there had alcohol problems. Now, where is alcohol metabolized in your body? It rhymes with liver. It's liver, right? So now you had the added effect of a liver toxin, right? Alcohol plus what they got at work. This is why, my friends, you always do physicals when you're dealing with people with 1910 120 jobs, hazardous waste site jobs. This is one of the reasons why you do physicals, is that people have this situation going on. All right, with that. So that's basically what we covered last night. Let's talk about tonight. All right, and we're going to come back to this with this. All right. Okay. And we're going to go right to right on over to where is it? The markets today. And we'll start with precious metals. Gold is up today. 1845.50, up slightly. Silver up slightly, 21.89. Platinum up slightly, 9.33. Even. Palladium at 1506.50. Going on to the other markets. Dow Jones Industrial closed at 34.128, up slightly. S&P 500 up slightly, 41.47.60. Nasdaq is up 12.70.59. Russell 2000 1960.97. U.S. 10-year Treasury note has closed at 3.807. Bitcoin is up at 24.619.80. Went up 1%. Oil is down. Crude oil is down slightly, 78.55. So that's what we got for the markets. So let's do a quick update on the war. Military analysts expect the war in Ukraine to enter a decisive phase in spring as Ukraine and Russia prepare to launch offensives. All right, so what could it look like? It could not look good for anybody involved. There's been reports that I almost said Soviet, that the Russians have fielded 97% of their army out there. And that's why they're relying on new conscripts for that. All right, well, we'll see what happens there. All right. There were also planes from Norway that chased away Russian fighters from the Polish border. So they got all different types of stuff going on over there. And, it's a little bit upsetting here. And because right now, I don't know about other parents. I guess my parents went through the same thing with us during the Cold War. Now, once you start to get to like 10 years old or so, you start becoming more and more aware. And when you have a mother who listens to talk radio constantly from the time that you're about 4 years old and even before that, on that old Gilligan's Island AM radio, we had it. We had it up until about 1979. Then it fell apart. So, now balloons all over the place. Kiev says it shot down a Russian balloon over Ukraine's capital. I'm getting from all the information we're seeing out there, I have a feeling that all these balloon incidents are pretty common and everybody has one. As I had mentioned last night, we had, during the 1990s, we had a lot of UFO sightings. And I guess what? UFOs are in the news here. They're supposed to give some announcements this week and, whatever. There's a lot of news on that. I don't really want to get into it. But in the Hudson Valley in the 1990s, mid-1990s, and at least some of them were from people launching weather balloons here. So it's, it is what it is. So Kiev says it shot down a balloon. I don't know. Maybe they're getting on this balloon bandwagon. Well, hey, we could shoot down balloons too. I don't know. I hope that's all it is. Well, they have a picture of it here. So it's got reflectors on it. Balloons with radar reflectors seen over Kiev region were launched by Russia as decoys to deplete and distract the Ukrainian air defense. I guess that's one way to do it. This one's from Study Finds. Pentagon reportedly planning a new weapon of mass destruction, a horde of missile-carrying drones. As the U.S. military deals with a seemingly endless invasion of unidentified objects in the skies, the Pentagon Oh, I don't know what that was. Okay, some other channel came in. All right, so U.S. military deals with a seemingly endless invasion of unidentified flying objects in the skies. The Pentagon is reportedly planning to develop a new weapon of mass destruction. Just when you thought we had all the weapons of mass destruction we could. Hordes of air, land, and sea-based drones. With some calling it the swarm of swarms. Right? Instead of like the King of Kings, which was a very popular Jesus movie back in the day. With who was it? Was it Gregory Hunter from Star Trek? The original Captain Pike played Jesus in that movie. But anyway, with some calling it the swarm of swarms, the program's reported development is raising ethical and security concerns. The top secret strategy envisages automated, coordinated attacks by many types of unmanned machines. Critics suggest management of these machines will be difficult, raising the prospect of lethal force without direct oversight. Now, one of my favorite movies of all time is Terminator 3 Judgment Day. And I was talking to a friend of mine at church. And I said, I won't mention his name, but he said, yeah, I worked at such and such a place. I said, well, what do you do there? He says, I work for the government. And I said, well, what do you mean? Well, he said, I can't tell you. I said, okay. He said, well, I can give you a little bit of an idea. I said, okay. I said, watch Terminator 3 Judgment Day. He said, you see the some of the technology in there? I'm not going to specify which one. I said, yeah. He said, well, something along those lines. Don't think that was based on complete baloney. And then before you know it, we have all these drones out there. So, again, this brings into mind Isaac Asimov's rules of robotics here, right? And which we all learned when we were way back in the day, right? And there's a lot of criticism on them, but guess what? There are laws of robotics, the 3 laws. A robot may not injure a human being or through interaction allow a human being to come to harm. A robot must obey the orders given it by human beings except where such orders would conflict with the first law. And the 3rd law, a robot must protect its own existence as long as such protection does not conflict with the first or 2nd law. And they were memorialized in the book I, Robot, and there's another law here. It's called Zeroth. A robot may not harm humanity or by inaction allow humanity to come to harm. The reason why that these things were all brought together in the early 1960s was that a lot of scientific writing in the 1940s, 50s, and early 60s had to do with mad robots overcoming and destroying their creators. So he felt that, hey, this is not a good thing. But anyway, I'm trying. I have a camera going here. Yes, we are practicing with a camera because we're very shortly going to be doing this live via a couple of other social media platforms and media platforms. So basically, this was basically there. And, when we see these robots, and now, there's stuff on robots all over the place here, right? With automated robots, right? Police using robots and everything else. This stuff becomes relevant after a certain while. My opinion, at least. Where are we going here? There's no thought behind it. We're going to program a robot to kill or maim or destroy, and there's no human being involved in this. I mean, this is a running theme in science fiction for a long time, right? One of them, now we used to laugh, right? It was a comedy, I believe, right, with Gregory Hines, God rest his soul, and I believe it was Chevy Chase in the movie Best Defense back in the 1980s, where Chevy Chase plays an arms dealer, and Gregory Hines, is a pilot, and they have drone. He's competing with a drone fighter, right? Well, that's far-fetched. That's baloney. That's blah, blah, blah. We'll never get that advanced. Well, guess what? Now we're there with the drone technology. So it sucks, right? Okay, here we have a Central Texas School District fights to save students from fentanyl poisoning. A billboard in right? So here we have a Central Texas School District. This is from the Epoch Times. Has waged war against fentanyl, a deadly illicit drug that is infiltrating nearly everyone across town. Now, I don't know of a family that has not had an issue here with fentanyl in one way or another, or a drug overdose, especially since the beginning of the pandemic. Literally, we have family members, friends of family members, and things of that nature dying of drug overdoses from fentanyl, unintentional, right? And there's talk here of making this stuff over the counter, right? And educating. But this is what it comes down to. Can you compete? I guess that's the word I'm looking for. Can you compete? Can ideas compete with the allure of these illicit drugs? That's what it comes down to. Right? My son just finished the DARE program. The DARE program started back, I believe, in the early 1990s. And they teach all these strategies. A lot of schools have that, but we still have drug problems. How effective is it? I don't know. It wears off. It's maybe good for up to a certain age. But then once you start to get into middle school and high school, these drugs become available. Everyone who I've known who has had a drug problem, they didn't start when they were 23 or 24 years old, even though that does happen, right? They started 13, 14, 15 years old doing drugs. And now, what can you do? I mean, it sucks. Just say no is easy. I tell you what, the people who are screaming and yelling, just say no, a lot of them should just say no to donuts, right? And I hate to, I'm not shaming people here, but this is what it is. That's not my intention. But the thing is, it's like that. It's like food. It's like junk food. You got to have it. How do you compete with that? And then once you get into the cycle of behavior, you got to break that cycle of behavior. Very difficult. Extremely difficult on all of this stuff. Schools are where it needs to happen, but no, what do I teach? Right? What's my little contribution here? One of the reasons why I set up Safety Wars is because I have a love affair with my family and friends. I love them. One of the things that I tried to do is I try to tell people how to manage stress. I tell people how to avoid bullying. Right? I try to train people in this. How do you know when someone's lying to you? We talk about the rules for radicals here by Saul Alinsky's, how it applies to workplace. So those rules can also apply to everything else going on out there, with being bullied, with being, being bullied, being manipulated, being everything else out there. So what happens is you end up going on, you start to learn those, you start to recognize behaviors, and now you know how to respond to them or avoid them in your own way. And that's what my contribution is here to this. Here we have, speaking about media manipulation, where is the article here? Study shows striking number of people who believe news misinforms. This is a survey released by Gallup today and the Knight Foundation. Not Knight Industries, the Knight Foundation. Knight Industries is from Knight Rider, right? David Hasselhoff, Kit. All right, the Knight Foundation. The survey released by goes beyond others that have shown a low level of trust in the media to the startling point where many believe there is an intent to deceive. Well, again, this is one of the purposes of this program, is don't be manipulated. I got to record this. Don't be manipulated. Be educated. right? Because we have all this information available now, if the news does not include that, all that news, all the data in there, it doesn't necessarily mean that they are being deceptive. Sometimes it does. Believe me, I did my master's project in graduate school was on that specific thing. All right? It does happen, depending on the issue. However, not all the time. You got to realize something. We have a 1 hour monologue here, basically. Sometimes we have interviews, but I essentially have a 1 hour monologue. We cover a lot of information. Just because I don't go into depth on some things doesn't mean I'm trying to deceive. I have to hold an audience. News has to hold an audience. Right? Everybody wants everything in 90 seconds. That's right. A lot of things. Well, Jim, you talk too much. We want things in 90 seconds. And so the other day I got a technical question from a person, right, dear friend of mine, and she says, well, she had a question, and I said, well, that's a 3-part answer to that thing. I gave her the 3 things. She said, now I know about 100 times more than what I wanted to know about that. Well, yeah, I can't give you a groove no answer here. And I think this is what's going on over here with the whole thing in Ohio. So we're going to let me cover this one more story because it's related to what we spoke about last week on that program that did not record. So now I have 3 things going on here, 3 things recording the program, right? Building more capacity. I should know. I'm a safety guy. I should know. More capacity means safer, right? So Nikki Haley launched her campaign, and I'm going to bring this up with every one of these candidates that launches a campaign. Nikki Haley launched her campaign for the Republican presidential nomination on Wednesday with a call for generational change in Washington and a rejection of what she derided as identity politics, dividing the United States. Speaking from the historic coastal city of Charleston, the former South Carolina governor and UN ambassador struck themes intended to resonate with Republican voters she will court as the first major GOP challenger to former President Donald Trump. Now, she should know, right? She was governor. She should have an idea, at least, on how to run a campaign, I would think. I think that she's probably using the same consultants, the same volunteers, the same friends, the same donor lists, and everything for this, because you start with your warm market. Now, as I said last week, we have a certain number of counties, I forget the number, it's like 3,200. You have 50 states, and if you want to count all of the jurisdictions you're going to run a campaign, it's 57. With our territories, it's like 57, like American Samoa, Puerto Rico, Marshall Islands, Guam, and all these other U.S. Virgin Islands, right, including St. John's, St. Thomas. All those territories have to have, right, a convention, right, and for the nominee. And this is where they'll have conventions, and they nominate people in there. And what does it come down to? A presidential campaign needs 2 things: money, and it needs volunteers spread out through the entire United States, at least one in every county. So they could go to the county conventions, so they could get on the ballot, so they could get the good ballot position at the county convention or whatever jurisdiction you have in there. So, because this is what happens. The first column in there usually is the endorsement of the party, Democrat or Republican. You need that thing because this is what happens. Oh, party vetted this person. Party said X, Y, and Z. First line. Some people just go down there, click, 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 or ding, 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 ding. Okay, first person. For both parties do this, right? So unless she has... so this is what you want to do. You want to find out if she has a serious campaign? Wait until about, you go and you look up the primaries and you find out when the primaries are. All right? Then you find out when the filing deadlines are for those primaries or caucuses, whatever your system your state is in. And if they miss the deadline, that means they're not a credible candidate. I've seen it time and time and time again. That's a little bit inside baseball for you. So we'll be going through this. So Nikki Haley has nominated, and as these people come up, we'll be covering them more. And I'm not going to, Jay Allen was busting my chops. He says, you don't talk about politics, but you had a half an hour show on politics. I said, yeah, that's correct, but I don't talk about politics. I haven't endorsed anybody here. If you know me, you know who, my opinions on all of this stuff, but that's not what I'm here for. I'm here to tell you again, one of our focuses. Do not be manipulated, be informed, right? So here we have, Ohio town takes derailment questions and state considers suing. This is from the AP. The Ohio village upended by a freight train derailment and intentional burning of some hazardous chemicals on board invited affected residents to a meeting Wednesday evening to discuss lingering questions. That is why I released the Instagram thing this morning, and I was talking about it last night. Share that with those 4 questions. You share it with anybody in Ohio. And maybe you want to keep it on file. Or what you could do is you could hire us, Safety Wars, JCP Technical Services, to give you outreach training in disaster response. And we'll go into a lot of this stuff in that. We are authorized trainers for disaster response workers. Authorized by who? Department of Labor. But Norfolk Southern, the rail operator, did not join what was billed as an open house gathering of local, state, and federal officials because of safety concerns to their staff. Unfortunately, after consulting with community leaders, we have become increasingly concerned about the growing physical threat to our employees and members of the community around this event, stemming from the increasing likelihood of the participation of outside parties. The railroad said in a statement reported by WEWS-TV. The meeting came amid continuing concerns about the huge plumes of smoke persisting orders. Well, it sounds like I probably wouldn't have attended either because my attorney would probably say, don't go to that thing and let me be the spokesperson. Right? Right, Jordan? That's what you would do. So, Jordan's my attorney. But anyway. Here we go. Do. All right. Locals in Ohio train derailment area advised to drink bottled water. So drone footage shows the freight train derailment in this, and wow, that is a massive one. Ohio officials have urged some locals living near the train derailment site in East Palestine to only use bottled water amid concerns over the potential health impacts of hazardous chemicals that spilled into the Ohio River. Right? That's Ohio, and as others were drained from the train cars and burned off. Ohio Governor Mike DeWine told a press conference Tuesday that the pollution did not pose a serious threat to the 5 million people or so who rely on the Ohio River for their drinking water. Remember, they're not going out there with a 5-gallon bucket and putting it into your water system. This goes through treatment. This goes through testing. I was very good friends with a local person here who worked for the water company. And she took me through the whole process. And with this, my undergraduate work dealt with water resources. So we learned all about water treatment and everything else. I worked at a couple of water treatment plants over the years as a consultant. I mean, this stuff gets tested, this gets cleaned, and everything else. And unlike years gone by, they actually release, under local right-to-know style laws, they release all of the results annually, or you can get them sooner. So, for example, I had cadmium poisoning. You're like, yeah, Jim, you had everything, right? Cadmium poisoning. Yeah, I actually had cadmium poisoning. And I had to go, and being the person I am, I said, well, that's pretty weird that I would have that. So I actually went and I did a little bit of research, and I called up the local water official here, and the person who handles that. And lo and behold, she was a classmate of mine from graduate school. And I said, "Oh, you went to NJIT too?" And she said, she said, "I thought I recognized the name." I said, "Yeah, same here." And they'll give you all the water sampling results. Now, I was able to do the half-life of cadmium in my system. I was able to go back and figure out, and it was right before I went for an annual physical for a hazmat job. I had a very large meal of fish, right? Specifically sashimi and sushi the night before, right? And that was probably what did it, was bad fish. So, all of this stuff is out there. All right. Let's go. I have some other stuff here that I'll go into if we run out of time. So, I went to the Ohio Environmental Protection Agency. You know what? Let me take a break here. Give my voice a break. I'm starting to cough, and I'll be right back at you in a minute.
In the professional safety community, communication and planning are just a few keys to your program's success. The question many practitioners have is, where do I start? Dr. Jay Allen, the creator of the Safety FM platform and host of the Rated R Safety Show, has built a global foundation to help you along the way. Go to safetyfm.com and listen to some of the industry's best and most involved professionals, including Blaine Hoffman with the Safety Pro, Sam Goodman with the Hop Nerd, Sheldon Primus with the Safety Consultant, Jim Pozell with Safety Wars, Emily Elrod with Unapologetically Bold, and many others. As individuals, we can do great things, but as a team, we become amazing. Dial into safetyfm.com today and surround yourself with a powerful force of knowledge and support.
Safety Wars is streaming now.
OSHA recording.
SafetyFM.com.
Catastrophic losses. You want answers? So do I. This is Jim Polzel with Safety Wars. Okay, we are back here. So I took the liberty of going to the Ohio Environmental Protection Agency website, and lo and behold, they do have some sampling results. They released yesterday, and last week were some surface sampling results. So we're going to run through these real quick. These are labeled, this is right off of epa.ohio.gov/monitor-pollution-issues/East-Palestine. Or Palestine. I'm from New Jersey. It's Palestine. But out there they say Palestine. Sort of like, I went out to Kentucky and I was looking for, and this is before GPS and everything else, and I pulled over into a gas station and I said, "Hey, how do I get to Versailles?" And the guy looks at me, walks around the front of the truck, and looks at the license plate, and he says, "It's called Versailles." I said, "Oh." He knew I was from New Jersey. But anyway, okay, preliminary results from East Palestine, public drinking water, right? So this is from February 15th, 2023, the analytical report here, and it's only a preliminary report. So let's look at some of the analysis here. We won't go into all of it because it's rather extensive. So we're looking at di-N-butyl phthalate, laboratory contaminant is what I see. Carbon, right? J qualifier, laboratory contaminant. And we're going into everything else here. I'm looking at this live here, guys. Okay, let's get to the executive summary here. And I just had it. And we have all the raw data up here. And let's see if we have a conclusions. I'm sorry about these folks, but this just came out here. We have 28 pages of sampling results here. And from what I can see, there's really nothing there. I mean, they're available online. You can go and look them up. Everything seems to be, stuff not related at all to this, from what I could see just from my 1,000-foot overview of everything. All right. And this is what it is. These preliminary results we have received so far confirm that, as Mayor Conaway has said, there is no indication of risk to East Palestine public water customers. Future updates will be posted as information becomes available. Okay, if that's true, then why is the governor saying to drink bottled water? Out of over an abundance of caution, maybe? I don't know. Now let's talk about bottled water. All right. Bottled water, we have one supplier of bottled water in central New Jersey that gets one truckload of water from many states away, brings it in, and they go and they bottle it here in New Jersey, and they mix it in with regular tap water. And because that the tap water is in not worse condition than the water coming out from the out of state, they are now able to call it spring water, right? That's the way the laws are. So don't think that you're going to be drinking bottled water and it's going to be 100% pure as the ocean spring, right? Or anything like that. Or ocean spring, listen to me, as the mountain spring. Sorry, the ocean spring will be salt water. Ha, ha, ha. All right, here we have one with Ohio River sampling data. Again, it's they listed a VOC data from groundwater contamination, and all the things that are in there that they had released are VOCs. Should be able to be picked up by the regular VOC sampling, but they broke it out into two different samples here. All right, they broke it into three different analytes: butyl acrylate, VOCs, and vinyl chloride. And this is from the river sampling, right? And as we previously said, a lot of the drinking water comes from the Ohio River. So we have, I'm racing through here, this week, right, starting on the 13th, right, everything's non-detect from the 13th on. Before that, you have little blips here or there and everything else. And you have a nice map here and everything else. But water sample results in the Ohio River by the Ohio River Water Valley Sanitation Commission indicate the chemical butyl acrylate is present in the plume. So there was some released into the water supply, but decreasingly significantly as trace amounts travel downriver, with recent results showing a high of 2.6 parts per billion. 2.16 parts per billion. All data collected was well below the level of concern of 560 parts per billion, and no vinyl chloride has been detected in the Ohio River. And they have a map of sampling locations. So you go through here, and everything's like here, this is what I have, butyl acrylate. The high was 4.4 at Grimm's Bridge, right? I'm sorry, and at Lock 57 Park at 12.5 parts per billion, and those were on 2/8/2023. Now, when was this derailment? It was on 2/3, I think it was. So they didn't manage to go out there and start sampling for some reason until a couple of days later. I'm not into conspiracy theories, but they might not have been able to do it earlier, for all I know, right? Surface water sampling. Water quality sampling taken February 10th shows very low levels of two contaminants, butyl acrylate and ethyl hexyl acrylate, in Leslie Run, which dissipates quickly, and no detects of butyl acrylate in North Fork, Little Beaver Creek, or Little Beaver Creek. There was much lower level of ethyl hexyl acrylate found in North Fork, Little Beaver Creek River. Whew. That's a lot to say. Little Beaver Creek did not have any ethyl hexyl acrylate. No vinyl chloride has been detected in any form in these waterways. Sulfur Run flows into Leslie Run, which flows into blah, 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 blah. The water quality in Sulfur Run continues to be impacted because an impoundment was created on February 8th when Sulfur Run was rerouted using a dam and pump to isolate the area contaminated by the train derailment. This ensures no additional contaminants would move downstream and allows contractors to focus on removing the contaminants from the section of Sulfur Run River, and future updates will be posted within 24 to 48 hours of receipt. So let's look at the surface water sampling data from the 10th. It's rather extensive here. We're looking at 243 pages. I'm not going through all 243 pages on the internet, but you could go and you can look them up. So here we have the EPA has has a webpage apparently from this. So now we are dealing with this is the update. On the evening of February, this is from today's update. On the evening of February 14th, U.S. EPA have completed 459 homes that have been screened with 28 scheduled for today. The total drinking water wells sampled to date is 21. EPA community air monitoring continues throughout the community, right? And going through there, right? And this is from the 14th, yesterday, right? On the evening of February 13, the U.S. EPA discontinued air monitoring for phosgene and hydrogen chloride community air monitoring after the fire was extinguished on February 8th. The threat of vinyl chloride fire producing phosgene and hydrogen chloride no longer exists. Let's go on down to February 8th. This February 8th update. All right, and we could read this. This is not so bad. This is what's got everybody in a tizzy here. February 7th, let's go down to. During Norfolk Southern's controlled burn yesterday of rail cars containing vinyl chloride, U.S. EPA air monitoring detected particulate matter resulting from the fire. The U.S. EPA air monitoring did not detect chemical contaminants of concern in the hours following the controlled burn. Residents in the area and tens of miles away may smell odors coming from the site. This is because the byproducts of controlled burn have a low odor threshold, meaning that it's not allowed to smell them. This means people may smell these contaminants at levels much lower than what is considered hazardous. U.S. EPA continues to perform air monitoring in the community. This is on February 7th. All right. This is February 5th, right? U.S. EPA readings to not detect any contaminants of concern other than particulate matter, right, on here. Additionally, low levels of VOCs and nitrogen dioxide have been detected within the active work zones. Initial air sample results are expected by February 8th, with additional samples being shipped off to a contract lab for analysis. So this is basically what it comes down. I mentioned those 4 questions, but it looks like that they got all of their ducks in a row here. With this, what they were sampling for, at least in the areas here. So be pleasantly surprised with that. Now, whether or not it's a controlled burn or not, this was the appropriate or not. I tell you what, to do a cleanup like this, very dangerous to. It's very dangerous to. Workers with this. Extremely dangerous. Why? You gotta wear PPE. They're probably in what's called level B, which is supplied air and a non-vapor resistant suit. Right? With that, it's also initially they had to go in there in level A. It's a Herculean task to manage this stuff manually. So the decision to do an open burn on this probably would have been a decision that most of us in the field would have supported on this. Sorry, I hate to say that here. And if the sampling could be trusted here, which I think it can be, it's probably, probably not a good, probably a good thing. Now, there's some other commentary issued today on all of this stuff. So I had mentioned last night that they usually have manifests and what is called a UN symbol on the side of the rail cars, and there's a label on there. That's been my experience in dealing with this, right, in the oil industry and everything else. Apparently, for whatever reason, there was not a legal requirement to have those here. And reportedly, I don't know if this is true or not. Again, everything here is alleged based on public data, based on my experience, based on some common sense, based on a lot of other things, right, that, I think we're doing pretty good here, right? I think we're doing pretty good. And this is all my commentary here is from publicly available data. And everyone's innocent until proven guilty. All this stuff gets litigated, all this stuff and everything else that goes into it. So I don't know where this is going to end up on here with this. And there's been some criticism of prior administrations with this, presidential administrations. A lot of finger pointing and blame and everything else. And as we all know, there was a strike was averted in this with rail lines. Did that have an operational impact there? I don't know. It might be. And again, I'm reading Sidney Decker's book on human error, right? This could be human error, and it could be human error for a whole bunch of stuff. That doesn't mean that there's a nefarious thing going on here or anything else. Calmer and cooler heads have to prevail. Logic, common sense, information, not manipulation, has to prevail here. All right, and again, what are we? With everything else going on here, this is an unwelcome distraction here. So let's keep our eye on the ball. There's a lot going on out there, a lot of moving parts, as one of my friends always says. There's always, Jimmy, you always have a lot of moving parts in what you do. There's a lot of moving parts in everything that we're doing here, fighting that there's safety war with you and on your behalf here. So and that's what I wanted to really share with you. How much time do I have left on here? Because this clock is all internet-based. So we have 4.5 minutes left here. So I wanted to thank everybody for the support that we're getting here. I think this is our 190th program, which means we're coming up to program 200 here. And as Jay Allen had said when we first started this whole thing that we call safety wars, is that we... Pardon me, I got green tea going here. People don't realize this is actual work. Talking out here for an hour, doing the prep time and everything else. That's why most podcasts only last 10, maybe 20 episodes. And most live programs don't last that long because it is work and stress and everything else. And as you know, we have lives out here. Jay Allen can't do his show all the time. I can't do my show all the time. We have client needs that come up, emergencies that come up. With me, I had a lot of family issues, as everybody's aware of, in the last 2 years with 2 deaths in the family. It's not easy. And people don't realize that this is a job. And during the lockdowns in the pandemic, a lot of safety professionals were out of work and they went back to work. And there are names, some that you've heard of, some you haven't heard of, that went out there, did podcasting and got a little bit of experience, and then they went away because everything else went on. But we're here. I mean, if you're interested in sponsoring the show, we are working on sponsors right now. We have one. Right now we're working on interviews. Just go on over on getting people to interview. Just mosey on over to our website, www.safetywars.com. Drop me a line and we'll talk. I'll put you on for the whole hour if you want, depending on what the topic is and what we're talking about. And, don't worry, I don't bite. So we're out here fighting that safety war. And I wanted to let everybody know we'll see you tomorrow night. Just FYI, I am doing a forklift training class tomorrow all day. So we do forklift training. So that's what we do. If you have any needs, give us a call, 845-269-5772, or drop me a line at Jim, Jim, at safetywars.com. Follow us on social media and on Instagram as Jim Poesel, JimPoesel. And, we're all there. And visit us on our website, and you'll be able to interact with us. For Safety Wars, this is Jim Poesel. Whoa, oops, wrong button.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.
You got into the safety business because you wanted to protect people, but somewhere along the way, the job started controlling your time, your schedule, your priorities, even your income potential. What if the expertise you've built over the years in the field can give you something more? More freedom, more control, more ownership of your future. I'm Sheldon Primus, the author of 7 Steps to Starting a Profitable Safety Consulting Business and the host of the Safety Consultant Podcast, with more than 350 episodes helping safety professionals become consultants and grow their career. Consulting changed my life. In fact, I'm a full-time RVer, and one consulting contract paid for my home I live in today. Now, I help safety professionals build their own consulting practice through bi-weekly coaching calls, accountability, and personal guidance. But this program isn't for everyone. Start with the Consultant Readiness Audit at sheldon.coach.
What if everything we thought we knew about safety was just interference? From the host of the Rated R Safety Show and the founder of Safety FM comes the complete signal transmission trilogy, now available in one powerful edition. Safety, in my opinion, the book that started the conversation. Safety Mutation, where the boundaries of culture, systems, and belief begin to break. And now, Safety Transmission, the final piece of the signal. For the first time, all 3 books are together in one volume. The Signal Transmission Trilogy, Complete Edition. This isn't just about compliance. It's about consciousness. It's about decoding the way we think, lead, and live, inside and outside the system. Whether you've been following the signal since the beginning or you're just now tuning in, this is the version to own. Search Signal Trilogy on Amazon or visit safetyfm.com to get your copy now.